Some people think that not winning is so hard, but really it's quite simple. Just leave the house with plenty of extra time to spare, then have precisely that amount of time be taken up by two people playing two cars, one lane at 7:30 on a Sunday morning. Once you get to the race venue, realize that since you have now arrived within 15 minutes of your race starting, there is no parking left close to the finish line and you must backtrack and park in another side of the park. Furthermore, recall that your shock is leaking air and frantically pump it up for a good minute or two before remembering you still need to get a number plate to race. So you get everything ready to go and sprint over to the registration table on your bike, hastily put on your number plate, and jump into the start line as the race organizer finishes his announcements that you heard precisely none of, and off you go. All sarcasm aside, this is not how I was hoping my first XC race in almost 5 years would start out, and to be frank, the worst was yet to come. Today's event was the 2023 Chainstretcher at Blue Mountain Reservation, and I entered the Cat 2 19 to 39 age category. Now, Blue Mountain is home to some chunky fire roads, which made up most of the significant climbing sections, with a couple of single track sections mixed in. The whole course was about 6.5 miles and about 800 feet of climbing per lap, and I was going to do 2 laps in Cat 2. Now, I knew going into this kind of race that beating actual XC people on the climbs would be nearly impossible for me.
My nostrils are on fire.
Since I'm riding a pretty hefty trail bike, but that's okay, because I get to have fun on the flowy and chunky downhill sections. My plan was to just hang on to as many people as I could on the climbing sections and try to put the pressure on any of the more technical or fast parts of the course. And maybe that would have worked out better if I had a little bit of a warm-up to start, because once we got going, I felt like I was breathing out of my eyeballs and my heart rate was through the roof. Luckily, I got onto some single track and was able to calm down a bit and actually get into a bit of a flow state as I meandered through a trail called Sis. At first, I was a little concerned that I had made a wrong turn since I didn't see anyone for a while. But eventually some people started to catch up to me and I saw glimpses of people ahead, so it seemed like the field was coming back together. I ended up getting past once we finished the first major single track section and got back onto the fire road, where I tried to latch onto this guy in black as we bombed through some rolling fire road. Unfortunately, this is where the race really unraveled. As we were flying along, we both blew past the blue arrow pointing to make a right turn, and suddenly a bunch of people were riding in the opposite direction and confusion broke out.
What? Are you Cat 2? No?
Cat 3.
Oh. Are you?
I don't know what's going on there.
What just happened?
This has to go to Rambler. Back here, this goes eventually Fire Road to Rambler. I don't know how to describe the trail, but...
Alright, so finally after like 5 minutes of all-out confusion, we got back on the course, but man, what an unfortunate time suck. I was glad that I seemed to still be with the group, but I knew that there were at least several guys who we started with that were off on the front and did not seem to get lost at all. I was feeling good about the rest of the lap, but then there was still so much climbing to do before the second major single track and descending portion of the lap came, and I got dropped from the main group again. I tried to hang on to a couple guys and push hard to pass this guy when he had to unclip, but it was short-lived.
Power, come on!
I had to really throttle back my effort on these climbs because I didn't like how I was feeling before just one lap had even passed. And when you look at that, here comes that guy enacting his revenge on this climb after I just passed him before.
Oh my god, look at this! I just got overtaken!
Eating wins races and I'm not eating. And I'm not winning either.
Eating enough during an XC race was my biggest fear, and it's something that I need to get better at. I always watch Sid and Mackie talk about their race nutrition and how hard it is to finesse enough calories into your gullet while trying to put the hurt on your opponents, or in my case, limp behind the competition. My solution was to have 4 loose raspberry fig bars bouncing around in my sweaty pockets so I wouldn't have to wrestle with some kind of wrapper. This worked pretty well until I realized I needed to stuff a whole fig bar in my throat at once, which meant I couldn't balance my breathing very well, so I can't really recommend the sweaty fig bar method. patent pending. Plus, I only had one bottle on me with a packet of liquid IV for about 100 minutes of racing, which was a little insufficient but not terrible. All told, I burned about 1,000 calories according to Garmin and consumed 300, but ideally I should have been eating around 500. Anyway, my GoPro ended up dying before the first lap was even over because I'm the greatest YouTuber ever, and I didn't bother to bring another battery, nor was I going to stop to change one mid-race. So I will abbreviate the second lap by saying that I got pretty much fully dropped and found myself chasing and getting chased by two 60 plus guys who were absolutely whooping me on the climbs, but I overtook them on the descents. And finally, in the last mile or so, I found a Brands guy and stuck to his wheel till the finish line. I didn't know if he was in my age group because I was just looking at his butt, but I conserved some energy until the asphalt straightaway where I drafted behind him until about 100 feet to go, where I unleashed my massive sprint at 27 miles per hour. I think I actually edged him out because I caught him by surprise, but it didn't really matter because we were in different age categories, so we just had a good laugh. In the end, I believe I came in 7th out of at least 8 guys, and despite the confusion, I still had a ton of fun, and I think I'll try to show up to another XC race relatively soon. So hopefully you enjoyed watching, and remember, stay venturing, my friends.